Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to have you joining me today. And really what we want to talk about is failure. So here's an opening question for you. What if the only thing standing between you and the life that you want is the fear of messing it up? Now, let's be honest here. We've all been there. We've all been holding back. Maybe we've been overthinking, telling ourselves we're perfectionists to make sure that everything is perfect before we even take that first step. When really, what we're really just afraid of is failing. Or worse, and this is even, it blows my mind, being judged for it. So instead of us actually going ahead and taking the actual action, we actually stay stuck. We actually kind of just go on a safe journey and we don't go forward. We kind of just stay where we are. Now, the truth of this, it's not failure that you're actually afraid of. It's, as I've said, it's the judgment of those actions that you're going to take. And that fear that's inside of you is actually quietly shaping your decisions on what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And ultimately, it actually starts to create the life that you lead ahead. Now, we want to eradicate that. We don't want to have this fear of failure, this fear of being judged. How do we overcome that? Well, it is actually fairly straightforward. Yes, it takes a bit of inside confidence to do it, but I want to share with you 5 tips that I've personally used. I've used them with my clients, my coaching clients, and each one of them is a very small step to help you to overcome this level of fear, if you want to call it in that particular category. So what are they? Well, let's start out with the first one. And the first one, and I've shared this in the past, what you really need to do is start to reframe failure as data, as information. You see, failure is not the opposite of success. Most people think you either fail or you have success. And that's actually not true. What failure is, it's in fact feedback. So what we need to do is we need to reframe failure in such a manner that it actually gives us that feedback. It gives us that data. And remember, every mistake that we take, all right, it actually gives you information. If you go down a road and you stand on a thorn, you're going to think, well, the next time let's put shoes on. Every time that you feel like there's a bit of failure, I want you to reframe it as data. Look for the feedback. Get that information and go, hey, what worked? What didn't work? What could I do differently? What could I do again? It's this little reframing that actually eradicates a majority of the fear out there, because then we're going ahead by saying, I actually want to learn something new. Let me try this. I'm not a fear of judgment, because really what I want to do is I just want to get information. I want to know, does it actually work? So that's the first tip. And it's a powerful one that each and every one of you can actually do, is reframe failure as data and get that feedback to learn from it, so that when you move forward, well, you're actually going to be doing it in such a high level of confidence because you know what not to do and what to do. So that's the first one. The second one is start small. So too often when I work with clients, they have these goals. And ultimately we take these goals, we reverse them engineer down to milestones so that we know, are we heading on the right track? Then we take these milestones and we break them even smaller into actions. And it's these actions that we need to make sure are actually quite small. We also need to make sure that those milestones are not the size of our goals. In fact, they're also a little bit smaller. And that's why we call them milestones. We could have 10, 20 milestones to achieve that actual outcome, that goal that we want. So what we really want to do is we want to go and look at this and go, I don't want to achieve this massive goal because if I don't achieve it, I'm going to feel like a failure. Now, what we do is we bring it down to these small ones and we deliberately make it small so that when we achieve it, we go, hey, tick, I've achieved it. When you start to take these big goals and we actually break them down into these smaller goals, and these smaller goals that you can actually achieve, in fact, they might even feel like cheating. It could be something where you go, is that all I have to do? Yes, that's how small I want you to get it. And you start to do, and then you celebrate that particular level of success. You see, what this actually does for you, it starts to build up this tolerance inside of you that, hey, I can actually do this. I'm not afraid of doing these little tasks as I'm going through. And it actually then starts to evolve into a normalized type of environment where going ahead, well, you know that you're actually going to succeed. Yep, you might have to pivot every now and again because of unforeseen circumstances. But the second tip that I shared with you, start small. Take those big goals, break them down into smaller milestones, take those milestones, break them down into smaller actions or steps or strategies to achieve them. The smaller you go, you'll find that that pressure on you to actually achieve it and feel that level of success, well, it just becomes that normal path going forward. So that's the second one. The third one, and this is one that, you know what? Ditch the perfectionism, all right? Perfectionism actually equals procrastination in disguise. That's the truth of it. We actually want to be perfect in everything that we do, but really, we're just procrastinating. We're giving ourselves almost these excuses that, well, if I don't do it this way, people are going to judge. No, they're not going to judge you. You don't have to be perfect all the time. You're a human being, not a robot. Just remember that. So you can make mistakes, but you learn from them. Remember, that's that data. So scrap perfectionism. All right? Get rid of it. You don't need the perfectionism, because that is procrastination in disguise. So that's the third one, is just get rid of perfectionism. Who cares? Just like myself, my hair is always perfect in the mornings. Yep, I'm bald. The tip number 4 that I want to share with you is focus on learning, not on the judgment. When you go ahead and you're doing something for the very, very first time, we feel, and especially if it's in public with people around us, we actually have this fear that everyone's going to judge us. Well, instead, use those individuals to learn from them. Allow them to give you that feedback. You see, most people aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. That's the truth of it. You're in this environment and they actually don't really care. Most people. There are some that do, but most people don't. They're thinking about themselves. They may be looking at you, but they could have a glazed look over their eyes. They're not actively listening. They're actually actively thinking. So focus on learning, not on the judgment. When you're going into any form of action, any form of activity, don't think of the people around you as judges that's going to help you to go one step further. Unless you're doing a Broadway and there is people that are viewing you, that's a different story. But 99% of the time, we're actually just going into an environment, doing a presentation, speaking to somebody for the very first time. But we're learning from these experiences. And that's what we really want to do. Tip 4 is focus on the learning. What can I learn? What can I do to improve myself going forward? And don't think about the judgment. Who cares? They don't. Most times, they don't care because they're thinking of themselves. So that's the 4th one. Focus on the learning, not on the judgment of the people around you. Now, the 5th one that I want to share with you is fail faster to succeed sooner. You see, one of the things that we've come across with high performers is they don't avoid failure. In fact, when they see something new, they actually just run into it. and they accelerate it. And the reason why they do that is they want to learn how to do it quickly. They want to go through this process so that at the end, they can actually say, hey, that worked or that did not work. They don't want to be thinking about, well, will it work? Maybe I do that. And they start getting into that procrastination. High performers always, they avoid the failure and they accelerate into something. You see, the faster you learn what doesn't work, the faster you're going to find what does work. So fail faster to succeed sooner. Now, in the beginning, this might feel a little bit uncomfortable because you've got those nerves and those butterflies, but you can just do it. You will find, and remember, break it down, small little pieces. Just go ahead and do it. You will find that you're going to be able to see this success in front. You'd start to taste it because it's so simple. It's right in front of you, but you are fearing that judgment. So these were the 5 tips that I wanted to share with you that can help you to overcome your fear of failure. The first one is reframe the failure as data, as feedback that you can actually learn from. The second is start small, reverse engineer everything down to small actions, small milestones that sometimes feels like cheating. Ditch the perfectionism. You don't have to be perfect all the time. You're a human being. Rather, just go ahead and do it, because that perfectionism, as we state, it's actually procrastination in disguise. The fourth one, focus on the learning. You want to go ahead and do something and learn, not be judged over it. So go out and learn something. Learn something new every day. It actually gives you a bit of excitement. And the fifth one, fail faster to succeed sooner. So just get out there and do it. When you see those particular activities, don't sit there and procrastinate about it. Just go ahead and just do it. Learn from it. Make it smaller. I wanted to share with you these 5 simple tips that you can actually start to implement from today. And each one of them is not complicated. Each one of them you already know because you've already done it. If you reflect in your past, there's been big challenges that you've faced and you've actually overcome them. And guess what? You're still alive. You're still smiling. You've got experience and you've got people around you that are going, wow, you did it. You can do it. I know that you can actually do it. You see, every failed attempt is actually a recalibration in your system. Because you don't want to go ahead and do something and go, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work, and repeat it over and over. What you actually do is you start to recalibrate. You start to learn. And the great thing here is you're not starting from the scratch. You're not starting over. In fact, you're refining your approach. Think of it when you go out and you meet for a client for the very first time in a very new industry. That very first client, you're not sure how to communicate with them, but you get that one done. And then you go, that wasn't too bad, but maybe I shouldn't just blurt all the information and the product and the services out there. Maybe I should just have a little conversation before I begin. So your second client, you start like that. You see, this is how you refine your approach. And then as you're starting to go through, you'll start realizing, hey, when I meet with a particular client and I say this, they give me a much better response. And you start doing that over and over again. And that is how you then start to refine your approach as you're going forward, which is so important. So a quote that really jumped out at me when I was doing the research behind all of this and the reflection from all my clients is, success and failure are not opposites. They are partners. Just remember that. Success and failure are not opposites. They're partners. If you're not willing to fail, you're not ready to succeed. That's a big statement that came into this quote. So I'll say this again. Success and failure are not opposites. They are partners. If you're not willing to fail, you're not ready to succeed. Now, from today's session, I want you to just schedule some time to pick one thing. just one thing, and put it into practice. Remember, learning is just a way of entertainment sometimes. It's the actions that actually will then start to change your particular life. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you in a future session. So let me go. You have a fantastic day further. Cheers for now.